It has been a long time since we saw a cultivation protagonist this ruthless. A true warrior, who does not hesitate to strike down arrogant enemies, even if they are beautiful women. The author truly knows what fans want. Previously, our hero Ye Chen was a prestigious disciple of the Zhengyang sect. With his striking looks, he had everything. But fate played a cruel joke. Ever since his dantian shattered, he became complete trash in the world of cultivation. Cast out like garbage by Elder Wu, his glorious days ended in an instant. Just 3 days ago, Ye Chen was a top expert on an escort mission, guarding precious spiritual herbs. But danger lurked in the shadows. An ambush by Lu Ji of the Qingyun sect caught him off guard. In a state of pure panic, Lu Ji appeared right behind him, aiming a lethal strike at Ye Chen's neck. But our protagonist was no pushover. With lightning-fast reflexes, he dodged the fatal blow, retreating to a defensive stance. One wrong move, and his head would have rolled. Failing to intimidate this stubborn warrior, the enemy unleashed his true power. Violent purple tornadoes erupted, trapping Ye Chen in midair. At the exact same moment, Lu Ji activated the Severing Heaven Finger, firing a devastating blast straight into Ye Chen's core. The impact was catastrophic. Ye Chen's internal qi shattered completely. In the cultivation world, a destroyed dantian means you are nothing but a cripple. Powerless and bleeding, Ye Chen could only watch as his spiritual herbs were stolen away. After a desperate but failed attempt to beg the sect elders, Ye Chen turned his back on the Zhengyang sect, leaving behind the only home that had raised him since childhood. Fellow disciples gathered around, but not to say goodbye. They came to mock his tragic downfall. The absolute worst among them was Zhao Kang, an arrogant bully who never missed a chance to torment the weak. Seizing this perfect opportunity, the bully stepped forward, demanding Ye Chen crawl between his legs to leave. Just as Ye Chen prepared to fight this bastard to the bitter end, a breathtaking beauty arrived, leaving everyone completely paralyzed. It was senior sister Ji Ning Shuang, an absolute goddess with peerless talent and unmatched beauty. Completely ignoring Zhao Kang's desperate greetings, she walked right past him, stopping directly in front of the crippled Ye Chen. But the gap between them was now like heaven and earth. Their intertwined fate was officially severed. With a freezing tone, she bid him farewell. But Ye Chen stood tall. "I do not need your pity. A true man makes his home wherever he goes." Even without a fighting chance, he refused to bow. Forced onto the unforgiving streets, he became a wandering beggar. Tragedy after tragedy crushed down on him until a blinding streak of light pierced the night sky. An ancient falling star, a legendary phenomenon. Scrambling to his feet, Ye Chen rushed toward the crater. What he found was the legendary true fire, blazing with overwhelming heat. As if possessing a soul of its own, the flame leaped directly into Ye Chen's hand. Resonating with this homeless wanderer, the divine fire wrapped around his body, diving straight into his shattered dantian. In an instant, 36 hidden meridians activated, compressing the fiery energy into a brilliant azure sphere. Just as he thought his dantian was merely healing, a massive shockwave tore through his body in agonizing pain. The azure sphere detonated, revealing an incredibly rare core C, a supreme foundation entirely superior to a normal dantian. Only a legendary Void Meditation Realm Master could ever awaken this. The moment this ultimate foundation formed, spiritual fire from the heavens rushed into his body, fusing perfectly with his flesh and blood. It was a miracle. He could finally cultivate absolute qi once again. But the sudden surge of overwhelming power was simply too much. His mortal body gave out, and he collapsed into darkness. By the time he woke up, the sun was high in the sky. He found himself lying in a humble, worn-down cabin. Beside his bed sat a vigilant little boy. "Big brother, you are finally awake." Seeing Ye Chen open his eyes, the boy cheered with pure joy. It turned out that after passing out in the wild woods, this kind-hearted kid named Hu Hua had dragged him home. This territory belonged to the mighty Heng Yue sect, an absolute powerhouse rivaling the Qingyun sect. Just yesterday, he was cast out like trash. Today, he woke up in rival enemy territory. Fate truly had a twisted sense of humor. Recalling the explosive events of last night, Ye Chen immediately channeled his qi to inspect his internal core C. It was not a dream. He clenched his fists, feeling the blazing true fire within. With this absolute power, my path to immortality truly begins now. Stepping outside the humble cabin, he saw little Hu Hua and his grandfather preparing a modest meal. Resting nearby was a massive spirit eagle. Despite their obvious poverty, The warm-hearted family happily invited the stranger to share their food. The meal was incredibly basic, revealing their brutal struggle to survive. Suddenly, the giant spirit eagle glared at the unfamiliar guest, itching to take a bite out of Ye Chen. The grandfather quickly scolded the beast. "Do not be hostile to our guest. Here, have a bite." It turned out the massive beast was simply starving. After swallowing a piece of meat, the terrifying eagle became as docile as a puppy. The family had raised this spiritual beast from birth, creating a profound bond. When the old man asked about his background, Ye Chen humbly introduced himself as a masterless rogue cultivator. Hearing this, the old man immediately offered a life-changing opportunity, suggesting he join the MANHWA sect. Having a powerful sect's backing would provide crucial protection and a steady flow of cultivation resources. Grateful for this chance, Ye Chen bowed. "Please guide this junior, senior." But before they could finish their meal, a deafening explosion shattered the peaceful morning. The wooden door was kicked into flying splinters. A vicious thug in white robes stormed into the courtyard. This arrogant disciple of the MANHWA sect stomped in like he owned the place. He aggressively demanded the old man hand over his treasures, threatening to slaughter them if they refused. Trembling in fear, the helpless grandfather could only whisper, "We have nothing of value left." Hearing this, the thug's face twisted into demonic fury. He violently flipped the dining table, screaming curses as he kicked the fragile old man to the dirt. Seeing his grandfather bleed, Hua commanded the spirit eagle to attack. But this ruthless bandit came fully prepared. Channeling dense chi into his palm, he unleashed a devastating palm strike. The blast sent the massive eagle crashing into the wall with a thunderous boom. This invader's power was absolutely terrifying. Panicking, the little boy rushed to his beloved pet, only to find it lying completely motionless. The thug's cruelty knew no bounds. Witnessing this unforgivable trash bully the weak, Ye Chen's eyes burned with raging true fire. He casually walked up, tapped the thug's shoulder, and delivered a soul-crushing slap right to his arrogant face. The impact spun the bastard around like a broken top. Stumbling to his feet with a swollen, bloody face, the fool still dared to bark threats. Without a second thought, Ye Chen grabbed his arm, launching his entire body into the air. In a split second, the thug lost all balance. Floating defenseless above the ground, he screamed in pure terror. A sickening crack echoed through the yard as Ye Chen slammed him headfirst into the solid earth, shattering the ground beneath them. An arrogant level 2 chi condensation cultivator, brutally crushed by a mere level 1. The scene was absolutely pathetic, kicking the trash out of the ruined spirit garden. Ye Chen taught him a brutal lesson in basic respect. After calming down, the old man finally revealed his tragic past. He was once a respected elder of the MANHWA sect, exiled to this wasteland after a single mistake. As for that bastard Zhang Dao, despite being a mere disciple, his nature was pure evil. Seeing the old man's downfall, he came daily to extort them. Over the years, every single treasure had been stolen. This time, he came to forcefully take the old man's final trump card, the legendary Heavenly Spirit Talisman. Ye Chen had heard rumors of this divine item. Once attached to an enemy, it completely seals away their chi. For the next few days in the spirit garden, Ye Chen cultivated his true fire like a madman. The spiritual energy radiating from his body grew terrifyingly dense. With a single breath, violent lightning erupted around him, creating a blinding halo of destructive electrical currents. Channeling the rushing thunder technique, he threw a devastating punch. The massive boulder exploded into dust with a deafening thunderclap. This offensive mystic art was already incredibly lethal, but combined with his true fire, its destructive power reached a godlike level. The day finally arrived. Ye Chen stepped into the Nine Heavens Pavilion, presenting Grandpa Zhang's prestigious recommendation letter to officially join the immortal sect. Out of respect for the old man's former glory, 3 majestic peak masters personally attended the evaluation. The pavilion master warmly invited them to inspect the young prodigy. "Who among you will accept this disciple?" But the moment they scanned his body, all 3 masters scoffed in absolute disgust. Discovering he was nearly 18 with a shattered foundation, they instantly labeled him worthless trash. Making pathetic excuses about needing the restroom, they flew away immediately. The pavilion master sighed in deep disappointment. He thought he was introducing a peerless genius, not a crippled beggar. Despite his good intentions, the pavilion master's hands were tied. The best he could offer was a pitiful 3-month trainee position. But our protagonist's willpower was unbreakable. He accepted the humiliating offer without a second thought. Starting at the absolute bottom meant nothing to a true dragon. The master quickly carved Ye Chen's name into a jade token. Handing it over, he gave a harsh reality check. Official disciples receive supreme cultivation arts and majestic robes. But a mere trainee like you? You only get this single pathetic bottle of spirit liquid. Now, head to the Spirit Weapon Pavilion to claim your rusted blade. The guardian of the Spirit Artifact Pavilion, a rotund elder named Chu Dai Fuk, cast a dismissive glance at Ye Chen. Go pick something yourself, he grunted. However, mere outer disciples were strictly confined to the first floor. The second floor was absolutely forbidden. Stepping inside, an endless array of weapons greeted his eyes. But just as expected, this lower level was filled with utter trash. He paced back and forth, searching desperately, yet nothing caught his eye. This blade was completely weightless, and that spear was practically rusting away. Frustration gnawed at Ye Chen. Exhausted and starving, he still refused to settle for mediocrity. Suddenly, without any warning, the true fire in his dantian flared to life. An invisible force guided his footsteps toward the deepest, darkest corner of the pavilion. There, resting in absolute silence, lay the Heaven's Fault Blade. His true fire eagerly wrapped around the mysterious weapon, as if claiming its destined partner. Intrigued, Ye Chen gripped the hilt and hoisted it up. Heavens, this must weigh over 400 pounds. Wielding this in battle would be absolute torture. The massive, unsheathed greatsword had clearly gathered dust for generations, yet it emanated a rugged, domineering charm. I will take this one. Stepping outside, Ye Chen chuckled confidently as the plump elder mocked his terrible choice. Ye Chen simply asked about its origins. Scratching his head, the elder recalled the weapon had sat there for an entire century. Its true history was a complete mystery. Seeing the so-called trash disciple dragging such a colossal blade, his fellow sect members erupted into ruthless mockery and pointing fingers. Suddenly, the jeering abruptly stopped. Everyone gazed upward in sheer awe. A breathtaking beauty from the True Sun sect was soaring through the sky on her flying sword. They had arrived to discuss the massive three-sect tournament, set to ignite in exactly 3 months. It was none other than Senior Sister Ji Ning Shuang, accompanied by a ridiculously handsome youth. Ye Chen narrowed his eyes at their fading silhouettes. One day, my name will shake the very heavens. I will make you all regret everything. Retreating to a secluded corner of the forest, Ye Chen bit his fingertip. He let a single drop of lifeblood fall onto the Heaven's Fault Blade. Instantly, a crimson aura exploded from the cold steel, binding the weapon to its new master. Without warning, a violent tremor shook the blade. A blinding surge of azure light violently crashed directly into Ye Chen's mind. He fell to his knees, screaming in agonizing pain as his vision spun. Gasping for breath, clarity finally returned. A legendary body-refining secret art, the primordial savage physique, had been sealed within the sword. Forcing down his explosive joy, Ye Chen immediately crossed his legs and formed the awakening hand seals. This was a brutal, flesh-tearing martial technique that demanded unimaginable pain to master. Countless ancient, glowing runes manifested in the air, viciously embedding themselves. Straight into his flesh, they drilled into his very bones, forcefully shattering and rebuilding his meridians. His body temperature skyrocketed like a blazing furnace, cloaking him in a dense cloud of white steam. After 2 agonizing hours of pure hell, Ye Chen finally conquered the legendary technique. Absolute, raw power surged through every fiber of his being. Utterly drained, he downed his entire monthly allowance of Jade Spirit Elixir in a single, desperate gulp. A mere outer disciple, only received 1 pitiful bottle a month, which was not nearly enough to feed his newfound strength. Realizing he needed a mountain of resources to evolve, he marched straight to the sect's mission pavilion. Before him stood a massive bounty board, plastered with countless missions, each offering tantalizing rewards based on their deadly difficulty. Just as his fingers grazed a promising bounty, a harsh shove sent him stumbling. A sneering disciple with a long ponytail rudely snatched the parchment away. It was a blatant provocation. Surrounded by a gang of grinning cronies, the bully raised his chin in an arrogant challenge. Ye Chen clenched his fists, but forcefully swallowed his anger. If senior brother wants it so badly, it is yours, he stated coldly. Turning on his heel, he prepared to walk away from the pointless drama. But the bully was like a rabid dog, violently grabbing Ye Chen's shoulder to yank him back. In a split second, Ye Chen's true fire flared with terrifying, scorching heat. The sudden inferno terrified the thug, forcing him to snatch his hand back in pure shock. Recovering his pride, the bully ignited a sinister purple flame, stepping forward menacingly. This bastard was actually the older brother of the thug who had terrorized little Hua's family. He had specifically hunted Ye Chen down for brutal revenge. His aura screamed of a 5th-level Qi condensation realm cultivator. But Ye Chen could not care less, ready to crush him with a single hand. Suddenly, the authoritative aura of the Mission Pavilion Elder swept through the hall. "If you want to kill each other, take it to the Cloud Arena," the Elder commanded, instantly dispersing the tension. Frustrated, the thugs backed off, shooting Ye Chen venomous death glares, promising future bloodshed. Ignoring the empty threats, Ye Chen returned to the board and snatched a new bounty. His target, the ferocious firewolf. Under the veil of midnight, while the entire sect slumbered, the determined youth was scaling treacherous mountain peaks. Pushing through absolute exhaustion, he finally reached the summit, his eyes locking onto a fiercely glowing spirit herb. But just as his fingers brushed the precious prize, a devastating pillar of scorching green fire violently erupted from the shadows. A monstrous silhouette materialized behind him with terrifying bloodlust. The demonic firewolf had arrived. Faster than lightning, it unleashed a massive torrent of apocalyptic flames straight at his back. But Ye Chen merely smirked, his own true fire instantly surging to form a perfect, blazing shield. Gripping the heaven's fault blade with both hands, he unleashed a devastating counterstrike. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion rocked the entire mountain. Completely overpowering the beast, Ye Chen emerged victorious, eagerly absorbing its potent true flame. The mission was an absolute success, but without warning, a lethal barrage of purple energy violently blasted him through the air. The crushing pressure was unmistakable. A terrifying human realm expert, a sinister old bandit stepped from the shadows, a notorious scavenger who preyed on the weak. With a cruel sneer, he demanded Ye Chen surrender all his hard-earned treasures. Sensing Ye Chen was merely at the pathetic 1st level of Qi condensation, the wicked elder sadistically channeled his aura, preparing for a merciless, one-hit execution. But Ye Chen's reflexes were inhuman. Crackling with wild energy, he unleashed the roaring thunder strike, blasting a massive shockwave directly into the bandit's chest. Capitalizing on the elder's moment of stunned disorientation, Ye Chen lunged forward and delivered a swift, brutal killing blow. Spitting black blood, the dying thief gasped in absolute disbelief. "How? Why hasn't my lethal poison melted your veins yet?" The truth was, Ye Chen had indeed been infected. But the old fool never expected Ye Chen's miraculous true fire to effortlessly burn the toxins into pure, nourishing energy. Escaping death by a hair's breadth, he left the treacherous scum to rot. Following the bandit's tracks, Ye Chen soon stumbled upon a hidden cave. His jaw dropped at the mountains of stolen artifacts hoarded within. The sheer volume proved this bastard had slaughtered countless innocent souls. "I have hit the absolute jackpot." Ye Chen grinned wildly. Among the bloody spoils, a weathered, mystical manual instantly caught his eye. The legendary Beast Heart Rage. Skimming the ancient pages, his heart raced. It contained a staggering collection of deadly martial arts, inspired by the raw, untamed nature of spirit beasts. Locking himself away for an entire day of grueling meditation, he mastered a terrifying arsenal of lethal strikes. The ferocious wolf's tearing claw, the soaring tiger's aerial stomp, and the elusive phantom monkey's agility. Yet, even training deep into the following night, the manual's secrets seemed completely bottomless. Suddenly, tearing through the midnight sky, a breathtakingly beautiful fairy of the formidable void condensation realm plummeted downward. Her elegant robes were stained with crimson blood. 3 terrifying assassins were hot on her trail, their murderous intent suffocating the air. "Halt right there, you cannot escape!" They roared like demons. Survival instinct screamed at Ye Chen to run. The power gap was simply too massive. But what legendary hero could ever abandon a damsel in distress? Gazing at her fragile, jade-like beauty and desperately swaying figure, Ye Chen's conscience simply would not let him walk away. Acting on pure instinct, he grabbed her slender waist and dragged her into the dense thicket. Seconds later, the 3 bloodthirsty pursuers crashed into the clearing. Finding only a pathetic outer disciple, they aggressively interrogated him. But Ye Chen instantly activated his ultimate acting skills, flawlessly playing the terrified, clueless fool. Only after the assassins had vanished into the distance did the injured goddess finally dare to emerge. Her exquisite face was completely flushed, contorted in excruciating, unnatural agony. Those bastards had poisoned her with the infamous, soul-burning, blissful ecstasy powder. Pushed far beyond her absolute limit, she managed only 2 frail steps before her knees buckled. Quicker than thought, 𝑦𝒑𝒏 sprinted forward, catching her soft, trembling body just before she hit the dirt. Cradling a legendary beauty under the moonlight, our young hero was completely frozen in panic. Having absolutely no idea what to do, he could only stare at her breathtaking features in total daze. Snapping out of it, 𝑦𝒑𝒏 quickly located an abandoned, hidden cave nearby. Securing the unconscious fairy on his back, he dashed inside and immediately began channeling his spiritual energy, desperately attempting to force the wicked poison from her system. After an agonizing wait, her eyes fluttered open, a weak, desperate moan escaping her lips. So hot. The diabolical, blissful ecstasy had already embedded itself deep into her very marrow. Her hazy eyes slowly locked onto 𝑦𝒑𝒏. Her burning, flushed cheeks sent an electric shock straight through his wildly beating heart. She was, without a single doubt, the most devastatingly gorgeous woman he had ever laid eyes on. Suddenly, completely losing all reason, the fairy crawled forward, desperately pressing her burning silhouette against him. Her trembling hands frantically began tearing at his outer robes. Panic exploded in 𝑦𝒑𝒏's mind as he desperately tried to hold her back. "Senior, wait! We cannot." Before he could finish his desperate plea, her scorching lips violently claimed his own. His entire brain short-circuited in an instant. The intoxicating softness of her lips and her dizzying sweet fragrance paralyzed his very soul. "Senior, please, wake up!" Fighting every primal instinct in his body, he gripped her delicate shoulders and gently tried to push her away. But the monstrous strength of a void condensation expert violently pinned him straight to the cavern floor. The demonic aphrodisiac had utterly consumed her mind. All restraint vanished as her desperate movements grew fiercely aggressive. Rip! Tear! The frantic sound of shredding fabric echoed violently against the stone walls. Under the silent, observing moonlight, the hidden cave transformed into a wildly chaotic storm of untamed passion. As their destinies irrevocably intertwined, a new dawn slowly approached. Meanwhile, miles away at the peaceful little spirit courtyard, the oblivious disciples of the MANHWA sect, the sect's ruthless enforcers had returned for blood. "Hand over that little punk, 𝑦𝒑𝒏!" they roared. The frail old man could only kneel in the dirt, begging for mercy. Nearby, little 𝑗𝑊𝒐𝒓𝒄 and their loyal spirit eagle dangled helplessly from heavy ropes, hung upside down from the ancient branches. The torment lasted until dawn broke. Meanwhile, deep within the monster-infested mountains, a terrifying hand of spiritual energy slammed 𝑦𝒑𝒏 against the cliffside. His face drained of color as he gasped for air, desperately trying to explain. "You were the one who threw yourself at me," he choked out. "That does not give you the right to touch me," the mysterious beauty snapped back. Her aphrodisiac poison had finally faded. Now, absolute fury blazed in her eyes toward the man who had stolen her innocence. The pressure around his throat grew terrifyingly tight. She was determined to crush this shameless pervert. No matter how fiercely 𝑦𝒑𝒏 struggled, her oppressive aura held him completely paralyzed. Between desperate gasps, he kept screaming the ridiculous truth about last night. "You were completely out of control." Thinking back, from start to finish, she had aggressively pinned him down. Suddenly, a terrifying killing intent flooded into the cavern from outside. The overwhelming pressure made her freeze instantly. She recognized that dark energy immediately. It was 𝑗𝑊𝒐𝒓. "I will deal with you later," she hissed venomously. Hastily adjusting her robes, the maiden transformed into a streak of light and darted into the sky. 𝑦𝒑𝒏 was left wriggling like a helpless worm. He spat out a string of vicious curses before reality hit him. Wait a minute! He possessed the true fire aura. With a burst of scorching inner heat, the spiritual bindings burned away to ashes in seconds. Meanwhile, high above the forest. "Do you bastards really want another round?" The ruthless assassins were struggling against the maiden's overwhelming assault. "You dared to launch a sneak attack against me? Now, pay the ultimate price," she declared coldly. Her vast spiritual energy erupted, manifesting into a breathtaking, deadly lotus flower that engulfed the sky. Thousands of razor-sharp light beams rained down upon them like a divine judgment. While desperately dodging the fatal strikes, the assassins sensed trouble. Powerful experts from the heavenly sect were rapidly approaching. Knowing they were outmatched, the shadowy figures immediately chose to retreat. 3 against 1 was an easy fight, but facing an army of reinforcements meant certain death. 𝒉𝒂. A panicked feminine voice echoed across the sky. Another breathtaking cultivator soared through the clouds. It was her martial sister, followed closely by 2 elite disciples. They wore the proud robes of the Eternal Mountain sect. Exhausted from the battle, the maiden's spiritual energy suddenly collapsed. But thankfully, her martial sister caught her perfectly before she crashed into the earth. Forcing herself into a revenge battle while heavily poisoned had completely drained her life force. Regaining her composure, she abruptly excused herself to settle a personal score. Her allies exchanged confused glances. Why was she running off with such severe injuries? But when she rushed back to the secluded cave, Ye Chen had already vanished without a trace. Unwanted memories of aggressively claiming that young man violently flooded her mind. Her cheeks burned crimson red, and she desperately shook her head to erase the scandalous images. Suddenly, her martial sister landed right behind her. 𝒉𝒂, what exactly are you searching for in this deserted place? The guilty maiden flinched, stuttering out a terrible excuse while awkwardly waving her hands. It was incredibly obvious she was hiding a massive secret. But time was running out. We must return immediately. The Grand Master and our senior brothers are waiting for a full report. Only when the skies went completely silent did Ye Chen finally dare to peek out. He had ingeniously hidden himself beneath the massive carcass of a slaughtered demon wolf. He let out a heavy sigh, mourning his lost purity. It was entirely her fault. Yet she was treating him like the ultimate villain. Women were truly terrifying creatures. Meanwhile, a nightmare was unfolding back at the spiritual herb garden. The ruthless disciples had shifted their cruel game, turning their violent attention toward the innocent little boy. But the old man clamped his mouth shut, refusing to betray Ye Chen's location. Furious at the old man's stubborn silence, the thug grew tired of kicking him. With a wicked sneer, he summoned a brutal spiritual whip and rained down merciless lashes. The sickening crack of the whip echoed through the garden. Little Hu Hua wailed in absolute terror, screaming for his beloved grandfather. "Take it easy, senior brother," one of the lackeys warned nervously. "If you accidentally beat him to death, the sect elders will have our heads." Pausing his brutal assault, the leader's eyes darted toward the captive spirit eagle. A deeply twisted, malicious grin spread across his face. "I heard you pitiful trash treat this stupid bird like family. I wonder how its roasted flesh tastes," he mocked viciously. Upon hearing those horrific words, the gagged little boy thrashed around like a wild animal. His eyes burned with helpless, devastating rage as tears streamed down his face. He was completely powerless to save his precious friend. But right at that heart-stopping moment, Ye Chen finally arrived at the courtyard gates, carrying the massive demon wolf on his shoulders. The horrifying scene of the brutalized family hanging upside down instantly froze the blood in his veins. Their battered bodies were covered in terrifying, bloody wounds. "You absolute scum! Torturing an old man and a child! You will pay for this with your lives!" Ye Chen roared. An earth-shattering killing intent erupted from his body like a volcanic explosion. Such arrogant words for a piece of trash. The arrogant leader mocked confidently, unleashing his aura. He instantly materialized a lethal wave of piercing sword energy and launched a devastating frontal assault. But Ye Chen did not even flinch. He took the horrifying strike head-on with his bare chest. Yet, the deadly blade could not leave even a single scratch on his terrifying new physique. Channeling every ounce of his strength, Ye Chen delivered a devastating blow straight to Zhang Dao's jaw. The impact sent the thug flying through the air, crashing violently into the dirt. His lackeys trembled in pure terror, rushing to catch their fallen leader. But bound by their master's orders, the remaining goons blindly charged forward. 2 against 1, they thought it would be an easy kill. Yet Ye Chen did not even bother lifting a finger. A terrifying blue aura erupted from his body. The explosive shockwave blasted the attackers away in an instant. Without wasting a single second, he rushed over to support the fragile old man. His grandfather was fading fast, unable to even open his eyes, while the little girl beside him wept bitterly for her beloved elder. Ye Chen's expression turned incredibly cold. He made a silent, unbreakable vow right then and there. Never again would he let his loved ones suffer. His piercing gaze shifted to the cowardly bullies, who were now rolling on the ground in agonizing fear. "We were wrong. Please spare our miserable lives." But mercy was not on the menu today. With a ruthless stomp, Ye Chen shattered one thug's dantian, wiping out his cultivation forever. He then approached the trembling Zhang Dao, whose eyes were wide with dread. "Do you have any idea who you are messing with?" the coward shrieked. "My master is the leader of Yang Peak. Do not do anything stupid." Ignoring the pathetic threats, Ye Chen's eyes remained dead and merciless. The way of the sword demanded retribution. Bam! Another merciless kick landed directly on the dantian. Zhang Dao coughed up a mouthful of blood, his spiritual power vanishing instantly. Finally realizing the absolute horror he was facing, he fell to his knees, crying out his master's secret. It was senior brother Zhao. He wanted the heavenly spirit pearl. He sent us here to take it, but excuses meant nothing to a wrathful god. Knocking the absolute trash unconscious, Ye Chen turned his back on the pathetic scene. A storm of vengeance was heading straight for Yang Peak. Meanwhile, the arrogant Zhao Long was casually attending a sect lecture. Suddenly, a deathmatch challenge arrived, calling him out to the legendary Wind and Cloud Arena. Hearing that the challenger was merely the sect's infamous trash, the arrogant elders easily permitted the bloody duel. "Just do not accidentally kill him," they warned with a mocking sneer. "We do not want to be accused of bullying the weak." A massive crowd of disciples soon swarmed the Wind and Cloud Arena. Everyone wanted to see this worthless fool challenge the almighty prodigy. After all, Zhao had already reached the 6th level of qi condensation. Standing alone in the center of the bloody arena, Ye Chen waited like a silent statue. This stage was famous for breaking bones and shattering dreams. Finally, the highly anticipated moment arrived. Zhao Long made his grand entrance, surrounded by a horde of male sycophants worshipping him like an emperor. Stepping onto the fighting platform, he immediately started running his mouth, showing off for the surrounding disciples. Ye Chen just stared back with icy, unmoving indifference. Both fighters unleashed their internal auras, shaking the very ground beneath them. The trash-talking continued as Zhao sneered, claiming he would not show an ounce of mercy, despite the arena's safety rules. "Do not blame my cruelty when you are crippled." Below the stage, delusional fangirls screamed his name like mortal pop idols. Disgusted by the circus, Ye Chen drew his massive heavy blade, ready to end this charade instantly. But Zhao Long raised a hand with a wicked grin. "Hold on, let us make this interesting. How about a little wager? The loser becomes the winner's eternal servant." Ye Chen let out a cold, mocking laugh. "I refuse. Having a crippled servant is absolutely useless to me." The implication was crystal clear. Zhao was not walking out of here in one piece. "If we play for blood. I wager my very life." Hearing such arrogant provocation, Zhao Long's face twisted in pure, unadulterated rage. "Fine. If you have a death wish, I will grant it." In the blink of an eye, he blasted forward like a cannonball. A deadly kick aimed straight for Ye Chen's skull, but with a fluid, supernatural movement, the main character blocked it using a celestial technique. "My turn." Ye Chen swung his heaven-splitting sword downward. It was time to teach this arrogant bastard the meaning of true despair. The absolute price of underestimating a hidden dragon. Zhao Long desperately used a supreme defensive skill to parry the heavy blade. Creating distance, he immediately summoned his violent sword aura, launching a barrage of lethal energy strikes straight at the so-called trash. The flying attacks carried overwhelming destructive power. Wherever the energy passed, the solid stone arena was completely ripped apart into flying debris. A smirk crossed Ye Chen's face. He leaped high into the air, effortlessly escaping the devastating kill zone, leaving his opponent utterly speechless. Witnessing such godlike agility, absolute panic set in. Seizing the opening, Ye Chen activated his beast-style martial art, the Raging Tiger Pounce. Closing the gap in a mere heartbeat, his aura-infused strike slammed into Zhao Long, launching the arrogant villain violently into the sky. Crashing back down, the once proud senior brother panted like a dying dog. His mind was spinning in total disbelief. Since when did this famous piece of trash become a legendary monster? Pushed to the absolute brink of defeat, he angrily summoned his final trump card, the terrifying Serious Fist. A massive phantom of a roaring blue wolf materialized in the arena, howling as it charged forward with killing intent. The crowd gasped in sheer horror. He actually mastered the divine wolf strike? In response, Ye Chen's eyes sparked with electricity. Time to unleash the myriad lightning fist. The crackling lightning intercepted the devastating wolf-shaped flames. The resulting explosion was absolutely cataclysmic, blasting the enemy back several paces. Giving his opponent zero time to recover, he tightened his grip on the massive heavy sword. The killing blow descended. Lightning crackled around his blade, amplifying its devastating power. Zhao Long desperately raised his sword to block, but before this overwhelming might, his weapon was as fragile as a twig. The heavenly sword shattered into countless pieces. The battle was over. the mighty Zhao Long had been utterly crushed by a mere first-level qi condensation rookie. Yet, despite his humiliating defeat, the loser's arrogance remained. He sneered with absolute certainty. There was no way this kid would dare kill him, not with his powerful master backing him up. The crowd erupted, hurling endless threats about his master's terrifying wrath. Stepping from the shadows, the elegant Su Linyue blocked his path. She urged him to calm his killing intent. But looking at her righteous face, memories of the past flooded his mind. Ah, the disgusting stench of hypocrisy. People acting noble while secretly looking down on others. His eyes grew cold. Searing true fire engulfed his arm, ready to eradicate this scum. Suddenly, a terrifying pressure descended from the sky. A towering figure crashed onto the battlefield. It was Ge Hong, the formidable elder of Earth-Sun Peak. Like a beaten dog seeing its master, Zhao Long wailed miserably. "Master, save me! This lunatic wants me dead." The thick-skinned elder stepped forward. His aura was suffocating as he ordered the boy to stand down. Surprisingly, he then threw out a golden olive branch. He offered to take our protagonist as his disciple, welcoming him into Earth-Sun Peak. But it was far too late for cheap favors. Our hero let out a mocking laugh, rejecting the offer with absolute disdain. The elder's face twisted in sheer fury. To be rejected by a lowly outer sect member was an unforgivable humiliation. Without warning, the elder unleashed his devastating aura. The overwhelming pressure crushed down like a mountain. Blood sprayed from the boy's lips, but his knees refused to buckle. Wiping the blood away, he spat out his refusal once more. The elder roared with cruel laughter, demanding he release the hostage immediately. In a flash, our protagonist yanked Zhao Long up and pressed a cold blade against his throat. "This is my absolute bottom line." His voice was ice. "If you want him to breathe tomorrow, you will agree to my condition." He knew he couldn't afford to completely offend an elder, but to his shock, the furious old man completely ignored his disciple's life. The elder charged forward like a mad beast, ready to slaughter this arrogant brat to save his own face. But just as death approached, an ancient, mysterious voice echoed through the air, freezing the elder in his tracks. To slaughter a fellow disciple is a grave sin against the sect. The divine voice resonated from the great Tao Hall on the opposite peak. Forced to swallow his pride, the mighty Ge Hong bowed his head and admitted his fault. With a disdainful snort, the elder hurled a heavy pouch of spirit stones. The force behind it was so lethal, our hero had to swing his blade just to block the impact. "Take this as your miserable compensation." Grabbing his disgraced disciple, the old man flew away. But not before vowing a bloody and gruesome revenge. Soon, the explosive news echoed across all three peaks. A rookie had nearly decapitated Zhao Long in broad daylight. Back at the peak, the humiliated elder beat Zhao Long mercilessly for ruining his reputation. Meanwhile, our protagonist was having the time of his life. He eagerly counted the compensation loot. Realizing the old dog had actually coughed up some good stuff, he used the wealth to buy a mountain of food, returning to the little spirit courtyard for a massive hot pot feast. As they ate with the young girl, old man Zhang stared deeply into his cup. He remembered his glorious days as an elder, before his own disciples betrayed him. Now, he owed his life to this young stranger. Fate truly was a cruel joke. Suddenly, the warm atmosphere was shattered as Su Linyue descended from the sky. The arrogant prodigy from Human Sun Peak tossed down a formal invitation. She ordered him to report to her peak tomorrow. Before leaving, she cast a mocking glare. "Don't let this little victory go to your head. You are far from invincible." The old man sighed, advising him to swallow his pride and seize this golden opportunity. But before he could even finish his meal, a white-robed figure drifted down from above. It was Wei Yang, an elite of Heaven Sun Peak. Radiating the sickening arrogance of the wealthy elite, he delivered his master's message. Because the boy showed a tiny sliver of talent, the great master had generously agreed to take him in. Our hero couldn't help but scoff. What an absolute joke. When he was weak, they threw him out like garbage. Now that he showed his fangs, they were fighting over him. These so-called seniors treat me like dirt. If I crawl back to them now, wouldn't I just be begging for humiliation? He firmly rejected them both. Right now, time was his greatest enemy. He needed to desperately boost his cultivation to survive the inevitable wrath of the venomous Ge Hong. The next morning, he marched into the 10,000 Treasures Pavilion. This place had absolutely everything a cultivator could dream of, from human origin grass to jade sun ginseng. The shelves were packed with legendary spiritual herbs. But the price tags? They completely shattered his poor, empty wallet. Sighing in defeat, he wandered into the mystic arts section. His eyes suddenly locked onto an ancient manual. The art of refining spirit liquid. With this technique, he wouldn't need to rely on the sect's resources anymore. But the price was suspiciously cheap. The shopkeeper revealed the bitter truth. To brew the jade spirit liquid, one needed the legendary earth fire. But the sect's only earth fire had been tightly sealed away by that stingy old man, Shufu. For any normal cultivator, this manual was completely worthless trash. But a sly grin spread across our hero's face. If earth fire could refine the liquid, then his heaven-defying true fire would be absolutely perfect. In fact, his flames were leagues above mere earth fire. Without hesitation, he bought the manual. But suddenly, the true fire within his soul violently pulsed. It had sensed a supreme treasure. Thrilled by the sudden reaction, he followed the spiritual pull deeper into the pavilion. The invisible flame transformed into a searing streak of light, violently wrapping itself around a dusty, forgotten gourd. The strange object was covered in cryptic, ancient runes. Peering inside, he saw nothing but an endless, pitch-black void. It looked like absolute junk, but if his divine fire desired it, this thing had to be an earth-shattering artifact. Gritting his teeth, he aggressively haggled the price down, before slamming 10,030 spirit stones on the counter. Back in his room, he eagerly pulled out his newly acquired treasure. He shook it up, he shook it down, he flipped it every possible way, but absolutely nothing happened. His heart bled for his wasted wealth. Damn it all. Let's just hope this spirit liquid formula actually works. The refining process was surprisingly simple, requiring only 10 specific spirit herbs. Wasting no time, he charged into the back mountains. The spiritual peaks were overflowing with resources, but finding the exact ingredients was a massive headache. Relying on his explosive physical arts, he zipped through the forest, harvesting herbs at lightning speed. By the stroke of midnight, his eyes locked onto the final prize, the shimmering snow jade orchid. But a cold voice suddenly pierced the silent night. Hand over that spiritual herb. It was Su Linyu again. In your dreams, he scoffed. I found it first. Go find your own. Enraged by his disrespect, the hot-tempered girl unleashed her clear wind movement art. She lunged forward like a phantom. But stealing from him wouldn't be that easy. Who would have thought she'd use high-level mystic arts just for a single stalk of grass? Drawing his blade, he perfectly deflected her vicious strikes. She unleashed a barrage of lethal attacks, clearly using this as an excuse for personal revenge. She cursed him for his heavy killing intent, claiming she needed to teach him a harsh lesson. But mid-battle, his instincts screamed. A deadly aura was lurking in the shadows. A devastating beam of energy shot from the darkness. He barely raised his sword in time, but the sheer impact sent him skidding backward. The terrifying power. This ambusher was an elite in the human origin realm. Facing 2 elite experts at once was suicide. Boom, boom. Multiple blasts of brutal energy slammed into his chest, forcing him to violently cough up blood. The cowardly attacker stepped into the moonlight. It was Chi Hao from Human Sun Peak. Dangling the stolen snow jade orchid in his hand, the despicable senior openly challenged him to a death match. But our hero wasn't a fool. The gap in their cultivation was simply too massive. Swallowing his pride, he memorized the bastard's face and retreated into the night. Days of brutal scavenging later, he finally gathered a complete set of ingredients. Retreating to his room, he ignited his true fire to brew the jade spirit liquid. With extreme focus, he controlled the blazing temperatures. One by one, the spiritual herbs withered away, their purest essence refined by the divine flames. The glowing liquid was carefully channeled into prepared jade bottles. The ultimate elixir was finally complete. Now, to test its heaven-defying power, throwing his head back, he downed an entire bottle in one gulp. Boom! A terrifying shockwave erupted within his body. The true fire blazed with uncontrollable fury, as an ocean of pure energy violently slammed into his meridians. Crack! The bottleneck shattered. He had successfully broken through to the second level of chi condensation. A wild grin spread across his face. The refining process was an absolute, overwhelming success. Just as he suspected, his divine true fire was leagues above the pathetic earth fire. But there was one massive problem. The materials were way too expensive to gather by hand, especially the elusive snow jade orchid. If he wanted to grow stronger fast, He was going to need a mountain of gold, but with his pockets completely empty, a desperate plan formed in his mind. The Wind and Cloud Arena. He immediately sent a formal challenge to Wei Yang of the Heavenly Sun Peak. That arrogant disciple had already reached the absolute peak of the 7th level of qi condensation. Ye Chen finally strolled into the arena, waving at the crowd below, as if he had just won the lottery. Who walks into a brutal fight with such a massive grin on his face? The moment Wei Yang saw him, the trash talk began. He furiously mocked Ye Chen for daring to ignore his previous summons, acting as if Ye Chen was completely beneath him. "Oh, did I forget?" Ye Chen smirked. "I just have zero interest in you Heavenly Sun Peak lapdogs." Trembling with pure rage, Wei Yang erupted with frost qi. In an instant, a devastating layer of ice swallowed the entire arena. The temperature plummeted to absolute zero. "Today, you will pay the ultimate price for insulting my Heavenly Sun Peak." Ye Chen instantly switched to acting mode. He pretended to panic, putting on a flawless show of terror, as the creeping frost grabbed his ankles and rapidly crawled up his body. Within seconds, Ye Chen was completely frozen solid. Seeing his chance, Wei Yang surged forward, channeling all his lethal qi for a killing blow. Too easy, the arrogant fool thought. But deep inside the ice prison, Ye Chen flashed a chilling, demonic smile. Alarm bells rang in Wei Yang's head, forcing him to jump back. Crack! Crack! The impenetrable ice shattered into a million pieces. Ye Chen stepped out, laughing maniacally. "Just a little acting, and you fell for it." Without wasting a breath, he launched a devastating kick, aimed straight at his opponent's dantian. Wei Yang was sent flying, but the nightmare was far from over. Ye Chen grabbed the airborne Wei Yang by the arm. With bone-crushing force, he slammed the elite disciple face first into the dirt. Boom! 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 A sickening symphony of flesh meeting stone echoed out, as Wei Yang was violently thrashed around like a ragdoll. Eating absolute dust, Wei Yang was paralyzed by agonizing pain and utter terror. Sweating bullets, he desperately screamed for mercy. "You want out?" Ye Chen chuckled. "Wish granted." He tossed the battered cultivator like a piece of trash, sending him crashing hard against the arena's edge. Smash! Wei Yang lay there in a pathetic, bloody mess. Yet, his arrogant mouth still muttered curses, bitterly regretting that his supreme secret arts remained unused, before he completely blacked out. Now, it was time for the main event, the glorious loot drop. What a ridiculously wealthy young master. Ye Chen shamelessly patted down the unconscious body, pulling out a mountain of high-tier treasures. He completely stripped the poor guy of his wealth, digging through every single pocket, until there was absolutely nothing left. Satisfied with his flawless robbery, the absolute opportunist finally walked away. The massive crowd stood completely paralyzed, utterly speechless at his shamelessness. Talk about extreme poverty breeding extreme measures. Shortly after, Ye Chen arrived at the 10,000 Treasures Pavilion. The bald elder greeted him with a warm, merchant smile. However, Ye Chen's jaw dropped in horror when he heard the outrageous price of the snow jade orchids. He had to bite the bullet anyway. Emptying both of his newly stolen coin pouches, he managed to buy 40 stalks of the spiritual herb. The elder generously threw in 10 extra stalks as a premium wholesale bonus. Taking the chance, Ye Chen asked about their origins. Turns out, wild spiritual herbs were incredibly rare, exclusively grown in highly guarded sect gardens. Retreating to his hidden sanctuary, he unleashed his true fire to refine the spiritual liquid. His mastery over the flames had reached a terrifying new level. Even with such a massive batch of herbs, his hand seals blurred with flawless precision. In merely half a day, he successfully extracted over 20 vials of pure essence. Drenched in a river of sweat, the cave around him pulsed with scorching heat, and the rich aroma of potent medicine. Utterly exhausted, he did the unthinkable. He chugged all 20 vials at once. You must understand, a single drop contained enough tyrannical spiritual power to instantly shatter the dantian of a 7th-level master. As the furious energy cascaded down his throat, his qi sea eagerly devoured the violent storm. Blazing aura erupted from his flesh. For days, he endured the explosive refinement. Every blocked meridian in his body was brutally torn open, overflowing with boundless celestial energy. Ye Chen shattered his limits once again, successfully awakening his 3rd qi condensation seed. The power coursing through him was monstrous. With this overwhelming new foundation, He could finally clash with true Essence Realm warriors. The moment Ye Chen stepped out of his mountain cave, a dazzling streak of blue and white light violently sliced through the pitch-black sky. It vanished before he could even blink. Wait, another blinding flash? Were the heavens raining shooting stars tonight? The glowing light suddenly crashed to a halt. As the dust settled, a breathtakingly gorgeous woman emerged, looking absolutely ethereal under the silver moonlight. But hold on a damn minute. His heart stopped dead in his chest. That was the exact same terrifying enchantress who had forcefully claimed his innocence in that dark cave. His survival instincts screamed at him to run. If she recognized him, he was dead meat. Panic completely hijacked his brain. He desperately tried to sneak away, but his foot hooked onto a cursed tree branch. He face-planted hard, letting out a pathetic yelp. He was absolutely doomed. Just as expected, a glowing rope of pure chi whipped through the air, binding him tight. He was yanked violently toward the terrifying beauty. Ye Chen surrendered his fate to the heavens, preparing for a gruesome death. "Are you a disciple of the MANHWA sect?" Her cold voice sliced through his sheer panic. Wait a second. She did not remember his face at all. Realizing he was indeed wearing the MANHWA sect uniform, she instantly released his spiritual bindings. However, her sharp eyes narrowed in deep suspicion. Why was this low-level brat shaking like a leaf? Forcing his racing heart to calm down, Ye Chen bravely pointed toward the northeast. "Senior, I just saw a strange light fly that way." Falling for the bait, she immediately crushed a sound transmission talisman, alerting her martial brother to secure the northeastern perimeter. Wasting no time, she sat back down and rapidly chanted a mystical incantation. A terrifying, scorching aura erupted from her delicate body, instantly forming a massive, blazing spiritual barrier. Without even looking back, she coldly ordered Ye Chen to flee for his life. It was like a literal free pass from heaven. Overjoyed by his narrow escape, Ye Chen bolted faster than a wild beast. Watching his frantic retreat, the supreme beauty muttered in total confusion. "Is my divine appearance really that horrifying?" The second Ye Chen vanished into the shadows, another identical fairy gracefully descended from the sky. This was the true Linger. The supreme enchantress he just tricked was actually her exact twin sister. No wonder she had zero memory of their fateful encounter. Linger had been deep in secluded cultivation, but the heaven-shaking disturbance forced her out. "The demonic unrest is far worse this time," she warned her sister, eyes filled with dread. "I am not sure if this spiritual formation is strong enough to contain the beast." Without hesitation, Linger sat cross-legged, pouring her vast spiritual essence into the barrier. Meanwhile, Ye Chen was sprinting like his life depended on it. As the wind howled past his ears, a crazy theory finally clicked in his sharp mind. Could there actually be two of them? He prayed to the heavens it was true, because if that was the exact same woman from that wild night, and she turned out to be a MANHWA sect elder, his only option would be to defect from the sect entirely. But peace never lasted long in the MANHWA sect. Drama was practically served for breakfast. The very next morning, vicious insults echoed through the air. A gang of arrogant outer disciples had mercilessly surrounded a helpless young boy right outside the sacred Spirit Mountain Hall. A thug raised his fist to strike the kid, but Ye Chen materialized out of thin air, intercepting the brutal blow with deadly precision. The terrified boy, Hua, cried out his innocence. He had been forcefully dragged into this restricted zone, brutally framed for breaking sect rules. Hua stubbornly refused to back down, triggering the absolute fury of the corrupt disciples. "Silence, you little rat," the leader roared. He drew his gleaming steel blade, lunging forward with killing intent, to permanently shut the screaming boy up. "You dare act tough in front of the main character?" Ye Chen moved like a phantom, snapping the bully's sword into pieces with a single devastating kick. But wait, the guy had barely been touched, yet he dramatically threw himself to the ground, violently twitching as a sinister smirk crossed his lips. It was a perfectly executed, disgusting trap. The faker immediately started screaming bloody murder. "Help! Murder! He is killing fellow disciples." The rest of the cowardly gang howled like rabid dogs, and as if completely scripted by the heavens, Senior Brother Yin magically arrived on the scene. Refusing to hear a single word of defense, Yin aggressively ordered Ye Chen dragged to the disciplinary hall. "Fine. I fear absolutely no one," Ye Chen sneered. After safely securing Hua, he marched straight into the Viper's Nest to see their game. The corrupt trial was a total sham. Falsely convicted of severely crippling a fellow disciple, Chen was brutally sentenced to the terrifying fire whip. The guards immediately chained his arms to the execution pillar. Yin walked forward, a sadistic grin twisting his face. Holding the blazing spiritual whip, Yin spat a few venomous insults before striking with all his might. Crack! The demonic flames instantly seared through Chen's flesh. After just 3 lashes, dark blood spilled from his lips. Yet, the absolute madman just bit down hard, refusing to let out a single cry of pain. This terrifying silence only fueled Yin's psychotic rage. He unleashed a storm of merciless blazing strikes, his heart filled with pure, murderous intent. For an entire hour, the sickening crack of the fiery whip echoed through the bloody hall. Chen's back was completely shredded into a mangled mess. Not a single patch of skin was left intact. But as Yin crazily delivered over 100 bone-deep lashes, sheer, creeping terror began to grip the tormentor's soul. This was mathematically impossible. How could he not scream? Even a supreme master at the human origin realm would have died from this hellish torture. Gathering the very last drop of his exhausted spiritual energy, Yin unleashed one final, devastating strike across Chen's spine. Gasping for air like a dying dog, Yin weakly ordered the chains to be unlocked. Chen collapsed toward the freezing stone floor, but violently forced himself back onto his own 2 feet. He slowly turned his head, locking eyes with his exhausted torturer. It was the death stare of an ancient, awakened monster. A violent shiver of absolute dread paralyzed Yin's spine. It took 3 agonizing days for Chen to finally wake up. His entire body burned like an active volcano, heavily wrapped in thick, blood-soaked bandages. "Just you wait, you scumbags!" Chen growled coldly. He forced himself upright, crossing his legs to meditate. The wilderness body forging art began to circulate. This ancient technique possessed terrifying, profound power. All of his deep wounds visibly began to vanish. The agonizing pain faded into a mere dull ache. He cultivated deep into the dead of night. By now, Chen's entire body was completely restored, his skin as smooth as a newborn infant's. He felt an unprecedented surge of physical strength. It was as if his catastrophic injuries had been forged directly into pure, explosive power. Later that day, Elder Zhang came to check on him. The old man froze in absolute disbelief at the miraculous speed of Chen's recovery. "Thank the heavens you are unharmed," he sighed in relief. Having already accepted the boy as his own flesh and blood, Elder Zhang presented him with a supreme gift. Opening the box revealed the legendary Heavenly Spirit Bead. Such a magnificent treasure. This junior absolutely cannot accept it. Chen respectfully declined, handing it back. But Elder Zhang firmly pushed it into his hands. "The Heavenly Spirit Bead requires a mighty weapon to awaken. It is useless in my hands. I only hope it serves as your ultimate lifeline when fate turns against you." Overwhelmed with gratitude, Chen accepted the relic. "Thank you for this supreme gift, Senior." The very next morning, a mysterious, hooded predator lurked high in the forest canopy. His sharp eyes locked onto a disciple below. It was none other than Chen, silently executing the brilliant scheme of vengeance he had carefully plotted. In a mere heartbeat, the arrogant target was brutally crushed into the dirt. Then, Chen began his shameless plundering. He stripped the bully of every single valuable artifact. He even confiscated his clothes, leaving only a single pair of underwear out of sheer pity. After draining his target's absolute worth, Chen ruthlessly kicked him deep into the dark woods. Time to hunt the next prey. One by one, every arrogant fool who had tormented him was beaten senseless and tied up in a completely 20-way, naked state. Just a moment later, blood-curdling screams echoed through the mountains. A massive crowd gathered to witness the humiliating spectacle. In a single day, the entire gang of bullies had been completely decimated. Elder Ge Hong erupted into a blazing, thunderous fury. Though he highly suspected Chen, his rational mind refused to believe it. The boy took 100 lashes of soul-burning fire. Surviving was a miracle. How could he possibly stand? He roared. Could this be the secret work of the Heaven Peak or Human Peak? Investigate this instantly. Whoever dared to do this, I will crush them into absolute dust. Meanwhile, hidden away in his sanctuary, Chen was, grinning wickedly at his massive mountain of stolen loot. "I merely borrowed this," he chuckled. The Earth Peak disciples were ridiculously wealthy. "With all these premium materials, I have more than enough spiritual energy to shatter my bottleneck and reach the 4th stage. A true man acts on his word. He immediately downed every single drop of the spirit liquid. Surging true energy roared through his veins as the breakthrough began. His dantian greedily devoured the massive wave of spiritual power. An explosive aura ignited. In the blink of an eye, a brilliant green orb erupted from his dantian, shining brightly. This was the undeniable mark of success. He had officially advanced to the 4th stage of qi condensation. The next morning, Ye Chen geared up for another hunt. Just like an assassin clocking in, he strapped on his intimidating mask. He dashed straight into the dense forest. Almost instantly, 3 unfortunate targets entered his deadly crosshairs. One of them was Xu Ming. This lackey was merely a dog for Ge Hong, but he was the one who brutally beat little Hua. Ye Chen's eyes turned icy, radiating pure, unadulterated hatred. Just as he prepared to launch his ambush, 5 heavily armed figures suddenly charged into the area. Their ultimate target was the Blood Demon, a terrifyingly vicious mutant beast. Out of nowhere, a projectile blasted toward the group. Xu Ming instantly reacted, blocking the explosive strike with his weapon. Thick, blinding smoke violently erupted, swallowing the entire battlefield. A barrage of deafening metallic clangs sent the group into total panic. Terrified out of his mind, Xu Ming channeled his qi and rushed toward the chaos, but he was a second too late. The victim screaming on the ground was his own junior brother. Seizing this moment of sheer panic, Ye Chen vanished like a phantom. He reappeared directly behind Xu Ming, unleashing a devastating strike with the crushing power of the 6th stage of qi condensation. Later, Ye Chen retreated to a secluded cave. He piled up every stolen weapon, preparing to melt them down with his true fire. Weapon forging required supreme flames. This place is practically tailor-made for me. Treating the cave as a giant furnace, he brutally extracted the purest essence hidden deep within the steel. 2 full hours of intense refinement ticked by. The massive pile of weapons had fused into a single, glowing block of crimson iron. Every single trace of impurity had been completely burned away, leaving only the pinnacle of pure spiritual metal. Next came the true test of forging. He flawlessly manipulated his true fire, relentlessly hammering and shaping the molten iron. He was molding it into the perfect blade. 4 grueling days of non-stop forging finally ended. The magnificent result was worth every ounce of sweat. A breathtaking, blazing red treasure sword gleamed with terrifying sharpness. He immediately sliced his finger, letting a drop of blood claim the weapon. The blade hummed with a soul-piercing resonance. A pillar of true fire erupted from the steel before slowly cooling down. Eager to test its deadly might, Ye Chen slashed at a massive boulder. The solid rock was cleanly severed in half. Extremely satisfied, Ye Chen gently ran his fingers along the immaculate blade. From this day forth, your name is Crimson Heaven. Today, Ye Chen threw on his hunting cloak once again. He planned for this to be his final raid, before officially retiring. The prey had grown smarter, staying on high alert. They formed tight groups just to forage for spirit herbs. Among them was Zhao Long. Let us see how you handle my wrath today, Ye Chen sneered. But suddenly, Ye Chen froze in his tracks. He watched in utter disbelief as Zhao Long pulled a thick wooden club from his basket. Without a second thought, Zhao Long stepped forward and viciously smashed it over the head of a human peak disciple who was quietly picking herbs nearby. Ye Chen was absolutely baffled by this betrayal. Zhao Long swung a few more times, spitting on the ground. Serves you right, you Heaven Peak trash. That is what you get for ambushing our brothers. Ye Chen was utterly speechless. Just moments ago, he had praised their intelligence. So, these fools grouped up just to launch sneak attacks on each other. A heavy pang of guilt struck Ye Chen's heart. Well, the Serene Horizon sect will not be experiencing peace anytime soon. The 3 great peaks were now drowning in mutual paranoia, sparking a brutal, all-out faction war. I really created a massive karmic mess, did I not? Just as he predicted, the chaos violently escalated. Elder Zhang of the Heaven Peak was practically foaming at the mouth, immediately ordering strict defense lines against the Earth and Human Peaks. Over at the Human Peak, Perfected Zhang roared at the heavens, swearing to make the other 2 factions pay in blood. Ever since that fateful day, the forest continuously echoed with the chilling sounds of violent beatings. Anguished cries of pain rang out across the entire mountain range. Paranoia infected everyone. Disciples warned each other to stay extremely vigilant, fearing they might randomly get their skulls bashed in with a club. To make matters worse, formal duels and bloody conflicts between the 3 factions skyrocketed. The two Sioux sisters watched the chaos unfold in pure confusion. Who on earth orchestrated this absolute nightmare? Achoo! Ye Chen let out a loud sneeze. A strange chill ran down his spine. Is someone cursing my name behind my back? He shook his head and returned to refining his spirit liquid. He had already processed over 100 bottles across 2 days and 3 nights. It was exhausting work, but the explosive gains were undeniable. Suddenly, his gaze landed on his spirit eagle. It was still hobbling around, struggling to walk from its past injuries. At this rate, it will take at least a month before you can rule the skies again. Very well, let me assist you. Ye Chen retrieved a bottle of top-tier jade spirit liquid. He carefully extracted a dose and channeled his warm spiritual energy directly into the eagle's body. Instantly, the majestic beast felt a scorching heat surge through its veins. It shrieked in sudden agony. But hearing Ye Chen's soothing voice promise healing, the proud bird endured the pain. Within moments, a miraculous recovery took place. The eagle was completely restored. Ye Chen ripped away the restricting bandages. With a joyful, piercing cry, the beast took flight into the heavens. Smiling, Ye Chen walked back inside, only to find little Hua still fast asleep. Out of curiosity, he probed the boy's body, only to discover a heartbreaking truth. The child's meridians were completely sealed tight. Under normal circumstances, walking the path of a cultivator would be utterly impossible for him. But Ye Chen was no ordinary man. He channeled his majestic qi, forcibly clearing the boy's blocked pathways. Instantly, the gateway for spiritual energy burst open. Next came the critical pressure points and the awakening of the Dantian. The boy's body finally began to drink in the surrounding spiritual power. Thanks to his vast experience refining spirit liquid, Ye Chen's control over his true fire was absolute. He perfectly regulated the fiery energy, ensuring the fragile child suffered absolutely no harm. The heavens truly reward the diligent. After 3 grueling hours of intense spiritual surgery, it was a flawless success. You are up quite early, young man. Elder Zhang smiled warmly as he walked out. He saw that Ye Chen had already prepared a hearty breakfast. A hard-working boy like you deserves 10 lovers. Right at that moment, Hua sprinted out of the room, his face pale with shock. Grandpa, my body feels incredibly hot, yet an overwhelming surge of spiritual vitality radiated from the boy's skin. Elder Zhang hurriedly checked his grandson's pulse. Tears of absolute joy flooded his eyes. His precious grandson's blocked meridians had been blasted wide open. The boy could finally cultivate. Meanwhile, Ye Chen watched in silence, lost in deep thought. Was it truly right for me to alter his destiny? The martial path was paved with endless blood, unfathomable danger, and eternal loneliness. Time marched forward without mercy. By now, Ye Chen could finally walk proudly. Walking back into the martial pavilion, Ye Chen's presence turned heads. His peers stared in absolute disbelief at his miraculous recovery. Stepping into the pavilion of tomes, he found the halls completely deserted. It made perfect sense. Every single disciple had flocked to witness the grand spectacle at the 3 peak summits. He could only sigh, wondering when this endless misunderstanding would finally fade. Soon, a welcoming elder approached. He retrieved his identity jade slip, and the elder kindly guided him through the sacred halls. It didn't take long to realize. The ground floor was a dumping ground for outer trainees. Only useless, low-tier manuals gathered dust here. The true martial arts and profound secret techniques were locked away on the upper levels. But his quiet moment was shattered by a sudden uproar. A chubby kid with a ridiculous rooster haircut was getting ruthlessly scolded and chased out by a guardian elder. This eccentric little guy was a riot. The moment he spotted Ye Chen, he rushed over and started shamelessly patting him down. His eyes gleamed. He had somehow sensed the true flame hidden within Ye Chen. Naturally, our hero denied everything. True flame was a legendary treasure. How could a mere trainee like him possess such divine power? But internally, Ye Chen was sweating. Even the grandmasters of the 3 main peaks couldn't detect it. So how did this chubby weirdo figure it out? The kid saw right through the lie. He had literally smelled the fiery essence. Smirking, he threatened to scream for the elder. Ye Chen instantly clamped a hand over his mouth. You talk too much, you little pork bun. Do you want me to beat you until you're even rounder? The chubby kid just gave a wicked, knowing grin. Ye Chen's defensive reaction was basically a confession. When the elder finally walked past, the kid covered for him, claiming they were just practicing vocal exercises. The second the elder was out of sight, the kid dropped to his knees and shamelessly hugged Ye Chen's leg. He begged to borrow the true flame, to refine a very special treasure. He pulled out a menacing, heavy mace. Thick, purple-black demonic aura swirled around the spiked weapon. It was clearly a devastating artifact. But there was a catch. A lingering, hateful remnant soul of its previous master haunted the mace, making it impossible for anyone to claim ownership. Yi Chen agreed to help, but only if his fiery secret remained strictly confidential. After all, remnant souls are entities of absolute yin, and the true flame, born from the heavens and earth, it was the ultimate peak of pure yang energy. It was the perfect weapon for purification. Several grueling hours passed. Sweat drenched Yi Chen's brow as exhaustion set in. The phantom soul was terrifyingly stubborn, even with the absolute dominance of the true flame. Purging this demonic aura would take at least 1 more hour. No worries, we have plenty of time. The chubby kid laughed triumphantly. Drool literally dripped from his mouth as he stared hungrily at his soon-to-be weapon. During the fiery refinement, he proudly introduced himself as 𝑐𝒗𝒆𝒓𝒅, Bear Number 2, which meant his older brother was 𝑐𝒗𝒆𝒓𝒍𝒐𝒓𝒅, and there had to be a youngest brother named 𝑐𝒗𝒆𝒑𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠. After a long session of friendly bantering, the intense refinement was finally complete. The dark energy condensed, transforming the black mace into a massive, heavy-hitting powerhouse. 𝑐𝒗𝒆𝒓𝒅 giggled with joy, hugging it like a newborn baby. As he tried to sneak away, Yi Chen called him out. "Hey, chubby, where is my payment?" A sly idea flashed in 𝑐𝒗𝒆𝒅's eyes. He spun around and pitched a massive startup collaboration. His own uncle was the head elder guarding the spirit herb garden. It would be absolute child's play to sneak in and snatch some precious snow jade orchids. Leading Yi Chen into the lush, overgrown territory, they suddenly froze. Romantic giggles and sweet talking echoed from the bushes. 𝒐𝒗𝒅's eyes narrowed. That definitely did not sound like his grumpy uncle. Sneaking closer to investigate, his jaw dropped. It was his younger brother. 𝒐𝒗𝒆𝒑, that absolute fool, had dared to bring a girl over for a romantic date while he was supposed to be guarding the sacred garden. Busted red-handed, the panicked younger brother quickly shooed his girlfriend away, whispering a promise to continue their date in the banana grove tonight. As she ran past Yi Chen, the girl shamelessly gave the handsome protagonist a flirty wink. Yi Chen ignored her completely. After all, his heart already belonged to someone else. After exchanging a few brotherly words, 𝒐𝒗𝒅 didn't hesitate. He whipped out his newly refined, massive black mace and mercilessly whacked his little brother. "I thought you said we were just asking for some herbs." Yi Chen's sweat dropped. "This feels exactly like a bandit raid. I think I just boarded a pirate ship." 𝒐𝒗𝒅 just laughed it off and dragged Yi Chen deeper into the sanctuary. It wasn't just a garden. It was a breathtaking ocean of glowing spiritual essence. The sect had hidden an unbelievable amount of liquid qi here. The two thieves went absolutely wild, harvesting until the sky turned pitch black, stuffing their enchanted bottomless bags to the brim. Using a shrinking spell, they packed up their massive haul. Suddenly, 𝒐𝒗𝒅's left eye began to twitch violently. A terrible omen! He urged Yi Chen to run, but deep within Yi Chen's spiritual sea, the true flame pulsed aggressively. A supreme treasure was hidden nearby. He searched desperately, but found absolutely nothing. Just as they were about to make their grand escape, a terrifying pressure descended from the sky. 𝒐𝒗𝒅's uncle had arrived, blocking their only exit. They were completely doomed. The furious elder glared at them. "What are you two brats doing sneaking around here at midnight?" Thinking faster than lightning, 𝒐𝒗𝒅 scratched his head and blurted out a massive lie. He claimed his father was taking a second wife, and he came to deliver the wedding invitation. The news struck the elder like a thunderbolt. Enraged by family drama, he flew off to confront his brother. And just like that, the two absolute menaces escaped certain death. With over 900 spiritual herbs in his possession, Yi Chen planned to refine them into liquid essence and split it evenly. That was way too close, Yi Chen sighed. When that kid goes home, he is definitely getting beaten to a pulp. But whatever, not my problem. After a quick nap, the duo aggressively rolled up their sleeves and got to work. Processing such a massive mountain of herbs demanded an insane amount of time and spiritual endurance. Fortunately, 𝒐𝒗𝒅 was no pushover either. His assistants sped up the alchemy process significantly. After several grueling days, the grand task was complete. Exhausted and boiling with heat, they collapsed on the floor, panting like tired dogs while sitting on a mountain of invaluable treasure. They chatted enthusiastically about their loot, dividing the spoils evenly before finally going their separate ways. 𝒍𝒐𝒓𝒅's passing words echoed in his mind. The inner court examination was approaching. A bittersweet smile crossed Ye Chen's face. If he were still in the Zhengyang sect, he would have been an inner court disciple a long time ago. Destiny truly works in mysterious ways. Banished, humiliated, and stripped of his pride. Yet the heavens had blessed him with a second chance here at the Hengyue sect. This was his battlefield now, and he was ready to prove his worth. He absolutely had to seize this opportunity. Sitting in deep meditation, he absorbed the refined liquid essence. A surge of power shattered his bottlenecks. He effortlessly broke through to the 5th stage of qi condensation. But he knew the path ahead. He would only get steeper. Advancing beyond the 5th stage required immense transformations and an astronomical amount of spiritual energy. Where could he possibly find that much power? Suddenly, a strange vibration echoed from within his robes. It was that useless junk-tier gourd. Right now, it was glowing with an intense, mysterious light. Popping the cork, Ye Chen's eyes widened in shock. It was violently vacuuming up all the leftover spiritual energy in the room. This was its hidden divine ability. It could automatically devour and stockpile pure spiritual essence. If he placed this in a high-density qi environment, it would gather energy endlessly. He would never have to manually refine liquid essence again. Arriving back at his quarters, he found little Hua training with relentless, bone-breaking dedication. What a hard-working kid. Seeing his big brother return, the boy ran over with a bright smile. Ye Chen immediately handed him several vials of pure essence. He strictly instructed the boy on the dosage. 2 drops in the morning, 2 at night. This would violently accelerate his cultivation base. Ye Chen then promised to take him up the Spirit Mountain tomorrow morning, so the boy could finally experience the true martial world. Before the sun even peeked over the horizon, the boy was up, practically vibrating with excitement. Old Man Zhang gave them a tearful goodbye, begging Ye Chen to keep the boy safe. Stepping onto the sacred mountain paths, some arrogant disciples mocked them, but Ye Chen's steady presence quickly calmed the boy's nerves. To trade a bear-like brother for a legendary mentor like Ye Chen, that was the absolute best deal in the world. Arriving at the Azure Radiance Pavilion, the examining elder was genuinely impressed when he inspected the young boy's solid foundation. Without hesitation, he accepted Hua as an outer trainee, handing him an official jade token and his monthly allowance of spirit liquid. Impressed by the mentor, the elder then extended a prestigious invitation for Ye Chen to join the Azure Cloud Pavilion. The offer was incredibly generous, but Ye Chen kept his cool. He politely declined for now, promising to think it over. His next mission was far more important. He led the excited Hua to the Grand Weapon Armory. Because of his trainee status, the boy was restricted to the 1st floor. Ye Chen waited outside, casually asking a wealthy, plump merchant about mystic iron and profound steel. According to his ancient forging manual, blending their absolute flexibility and indestructible hardness into his Qixiao sword would create a flawless, divine weapon. The merchant nodded. "We have everything you need, but the price is devastating. 100,000 spirit stones, a staggering fortune that a normal disciple could never earn in a single lifetime." "But of course," the merchant whispered slyly, "there is a darker place where things are dirt cheap. The Phantom Underworld Market, a lawless black market sitting on the border of the 3 great sects. It was a paradise for stolen artifacts and blood-stained treasures. The prices were unbelievably low, but the cost could be your life. Vicious criminals, rogue cultivators, and absolute chaos ruled those streets. You step in there, you might never step out. Think very carefully." Hearing this deadly warning, Ye Chen merely let out a fearless, chilling smirk. "Finding this weapon is exactly like looking for a needle in the ocean. All these fakes are just wasting my time. Threats are useless against me. I will check it out personally tomorrow." Meanwhile, Hu Hua proudly showed off his newly acquired black gold staff. This weapon is incredibly difficult to master. The old man advised him to choose something else, but he stubbornly refused. Since profound staff techniques are extremely rare and can only be found in the heavenly sect, Ye Chen decided to bring him along. He comforted him, promising to find a way to help. Today, Ye Chen was absolutely determined to exact his revenge. He could not forgive them for brazenly stealing his spirit herbs the night before. Stepping up to the arena, he challenged Qi Hao. Elder Zhang wore a stern expression, as he ordered his disciple to fight without holding back. Show no mercy. Punish him for disrespecting the human Yang Peak. Obeying his master's command, Qi Hao swaggered onto the martial stage. Right beside him were the arrogant Su Lin Yue and his pathetic lackeys. They were fully prepared to beat Ye Chen into a pulp. Suddenly, 𝒌𝒄𝒄 descended like a majestic deity right in front of him, but his face was completely swollen like a pig. Clearly, his father and grandfather had given him a brutal beating. Little brother, tell your big bro the absolute truth. How confident are you in winning this battle? 10 out of 10. The moment Ye Chen replied, the fat guy dashed away at lightning speed. What an absolute weirdo. In the blink of an eye, 𝒌𝒄𝒄 had already set up a massive betting pool right below the stage. He shouted like a scamming merchant, promising great wealth and prosperity to the winners. Seeing that betting on Chi Hao was a guaranteed win, the crowd frantically threw their money on him. In the end, one side had a mountain of sparkling gold. Meanwhile, Ye Chen's side did not have a single copper coin. Despite the disappointing sight, Ye Chen smirked. It seems 𝒌𝒄𝒄 is about to help me win a massive fortune for the black market. And so, the traditional pre-battle trash talk began. Chi Hao scoffed, sarcastically praising Ye Chen for his foolish bravery. From below the stage, Su Lin Yue chimed in with her usual venom. She mocked him with her favorite catchphrase, "Your killing intent is too heavy. You will never achieve true enlightenment." Below the stage, 𝒌𝒄𝒄 grew tired of the endless yapping. He immediately provoked Chi Hao to place a bet. Smug and arrogant, Chi Hao tossed in 10,000 spirit stones. The entire crowd gasped in absolute admiration. Not backing down, Ye Chen calmly bet a whole 10 spirit stones. What a broke, pathetic country bumpkin, they laughed mockingly. Seeing Ye Chen warm up with some bizarre stretching routines, Chi Hao sneered and proposed a private wager between just the two of them. When I beat you into a brainless cripple later, I will strip every single valuable item right off your body. Without warning, Chi Hao lunged forward with explosive speed. His profound movement technique was on full display. Closing the distance instantly, he channeled his aura into a devastating palm strike. The overwhelming pressure forced Ye Chen to block with his heavy sword, skidding several meters backward. Giving no room to breathe, Chi Hao descended from above with an even heavier strike. A massive wave of fierce aura crashed down. But Ye Chen was no pushover. He immediately released his true chi from the blade to meet the attack. Boom! Chi Hao unleashed a relentless flurry of lightning-fast palm strikes. Yet, Ye Chen flawlessly dodged and parried every single one. Furious, Chi Hao surged more spiritual power into his legs, dashing at godlike speeds. But it was completely useless, because Ye Chen possessed footwork that defied logic itself. My turn. Maintaining his terrifying momentum, Ye Chen gripped his blade and charged like a raging bull. Caught off guard, Chi Hao hastily formed a chi barrier. Giving him zero breathing room, Ye Chen unleashed the thunder sprint technique, slamming right into him. The two attacks collided, creating a massive shockwave that sent Chi Hao flying backward. Realizing he could no longer underestimate his opponent, Chi Hao activated his ultimate trump card, the Void Sword Dance. Glowing runes immediately materialized above his head, radiating a blinding light. A massive vortex formed, firing thousands of energy blades straight at Ye Chen. Looks flashy enough. Ye Chen merely let out a confident smirk. He spun his blade, conjuring a violent tornado of spiritual energy that tore into the sky. "You fell for it! Earth Dragon spell!" Chi Hao roared. In a flash, a colossal dragon made of solid rock erupted from the ground, plunging its massive head toward him. Channeling true chi into his fist, Ye Chen waited for the perfect moment. Bam! He casually shattered the stone beast into dust as if crushing a tiny bug. Panicking, Chi Hao frantically formed hand seals, attempting to summon more of his pathetic rock worms. But Ye Chen had already materialized right in front of his face. "This time, I am returning the favor for your cowardly sneak attack with interest." Unable to evade, Chi Hao stood frozen in absolute terror. He became a human punching bag, vomiting blood from the relentless barrage. Seeing her beloved senior's face beaten beyond recognition, the pathetic Su Lin Yue screamed from the sidelines. She shamelessly accused Ye Chen of using demonic arts to defeat Chi Hao. The brainwashed disciples immediately joined the uproar. They demanded Ye Chen be banished from the sect. A user of demonic arts is unfit to be a righteous disciple. They hurled rocks and rotten eggs onto the arena. Hearing their utter nonsense, Ye Chen stopped his assault and cursed back at them. Swoosh! A lethal streak of sword chi suddenly shot toward his back. It was that bastard, launching another filthy sneak attack. Seizing the distraction, Qiao burned all his true qi to unleash a storm of invisible blades at Ye Chen. Caught off guard, Ye Chen had no time to defend. 𝒌𝒊𝒅 slammed the table and roared, cursing the wretched scum. "For playing such dirty tricks, do you have no shame left?" Meanwhile, the hypocritical disciples and that wicked woman cheered wildly. "Kill him! That is our mighty senior brother," pushed all the way to the very edge of the stage. Qiao blasted one final shockwave to knock Ye Chen off. But reacting instantly, Ye Chen ignited his true fire to create a reverse thrust. Balancing himself, he grabbed the razor-sharp sword qi with his bare hand. Blood splattered, but he stood his ground. He lunged forward and planted a devastating hook right into Qiao's shameless face. "Old grudges and new debts, I will collect them all today," fusing his martial arts. With blazing true qi, a majestic phantom lion materialized behind Ye Chen. He rained down an endless storm of brutal punches upon Qiao. His fists moved so incredibly fast that multiple after-images of Ye Chen appeared, looking like a god of war with 1,000 arms. This time, he completely ignored the shrieking hypocrites below. He treated their cries as mourning for their lost bets. The one-sided beatdown continued until Qiao was pulverized into absolute mush. Feeling his arms getting tired, Ye Chen delivered a final, earth-shattering stomp. Boom! He drove Qiao deep into the arena floor, creating a massive crater. Truly, the vitality of a human. Origin Realm Cultivator was terrifying. Bleeding and broken, Qiao still managed to stand up and sneer. "Ye Chen, in the end, you still cannot defeat me." He was right. Looking down, Ye Chen realized he had been hit by the heavenly spirit curse. His true fire was completely sealed. No matter how heaven-defying his combat skills were, without true qi, winning was deemed absolutely impossible. Seizing the opportunity to turn the tables, Qiao swung his blade, launching countless lethal slashes. Ye Chen struggled desperately to dodge attacks that he could normally crush with a single flick of his wrist. The loyal lapdogs below the stage cried tears of joy. "Our money is saved." Exhausting his remaining spiritual power, Qiao channeled everything into his sword intent. He unleashed a relentless barrage that Ye Chen simply could not block anymore. A brutal thrust pierced straight into Ye Chen's chest, bringing agonizing pain. Refusing to let the blade sink any deeper, Ye Chen made a crazy move. He clamped his bare hands tightly around the razor-sharp sword intent, ignoring the flesh-tearing damage. Qiao immediately followed up with a vicious horizontal slash. "Die for me already." But suddenly, the impossible happened. Two massive chains glowing with blinding golden light erupted from the void. They shot forward and tightly bound Qiao's entire body. The terrifying sword qi in his hand dissolved into nothingness. His spiritual power had been completely sealed, an eye for an eye. Now, Qiao had also fallen victim to Ye Chen's very own heavenly spirit curse. "Oh crap, my money is gone again." The tide of battle flipped once more, leaving the audience wide-eyed in sheer terror. Only 𝒌𝒊𝒅 crossed his arms and burst into triumphant laughter. "Ha ha, that is what I am talking about." Every single bone-shattering punch from Ye Chen landed perfectly on target. Qiao howled like a slaughtered pig. He had always relied so heavily on his true qi, completely neglecting his physical martial arts. Now, he was as pathetic as a declawed kitten. Victory belonged to Ye Chen. It was an absolute certainty, because this result was undeniably set in stone. For the grand finale, Ye Chen mercilessly slammed him straight into the dirt, digging a second crater for his sorry body. This time, Qiao was not getting back up. Suddenly, deafening war cries erupted from the cowardly disciples behind him. Thinking Ye Chen was powerless without qi, they rushed the stage to jump him. They thought they had an easy target. But they were dead wrong. One by one, Ye Chen grabbed them by the neck and hurled them off the stage like trash. He made sure to deliver a brutal parting gift, smashing straight into their dantians and crippling their cultivation entirely. What a legendary display of power. "Ye Chen, my glorious little brother." 𝒌𝒊𝒅 cheered wildly, having planned to help, but seeing he was completely unneeded. Down below, Suyue gripped her blade in bitter frustration, ready to leap into the fray. But 𝒌𝒊𝒅 wasn't having it. Channeling his aura into the arrowhead, he locked onto her with a deadly threat. "I suggest you stay, exactly where you are, unless you want this little master's flaming arrow to pierce right through you." Forced into submission, she finally yielded. Meanwhile, up above, our protagonist's sticky fingers went to work. Like an absolute professional, he began looting every single priceless artifact from his fallen foe. Watching this shameless display, the Renyang Peak elder glared at his defeated disciple, practically coughing up blood from sheer fury. Curses flew from his mouth. On the flip side, the Tianyang Peak elder let out a heavy sigh of absolute regret. He had severely underestimated Ye Chen, letting a peerless genius slip right through his fingers. As for the Diyang Peak elder, he was secretly laughing his head off. Compared to his own faction's earlier loss, Renyang Peak's humiliating defeat was a total catastrophe. That kid is truly something else, he mused. Meanwhile, our two notorious partners in crime held a secret meeting to divide their hard-earned, extorted wealth. Sticking to their golden rule, they split the mountain of gold 50-50, true businessmen of the cultivation world. When Ye Chen mentioned visiting the black market, Fatty's face turned dead serious. That place only opens once every 3 years. This wolf fang mace was a treasure I hunted down there. But make no mistake, it is incredibly dangerous. They made a pact. Next week, they would meet on the mountain and brave the black market together. Back in his room, Ye Chen began tallying up the massive haul, plundered from Qihao. As expected of a wealthy young master, every single item was top-tier quality. But his eyes locked onto a bizarre, ancient turtle shell. The moment he touched it, his mysterious gourd violently sucked it inside. It clearly reacted to profound spirit energy. Moments after being fully absorbed, the gourd erupted with blinding, radiant light, projecting a legendary martial art directly into his mind, the Phantom Sky Steps. Burning the midnight oil, he spent the entire night, comprehending the profound footwork, formless as the void, shifting like shadows, moving as the heart desires. By dawn, his speed had reached terrifying new heights. He could now dash across the courtyard effortlessly, leaving behind a trail of lifelike afterimages guaranteed to leave any opponent dizzy and disoriented. Time to gear up for the perilous black market. Remembering his friend's advice, Ye Chen's first stop was the Myriad Treasures Pavilion to secure some life-saving trump cards. He was completely dumbfounded when he saw the shopping list. The Heavenly Spirit, Heavenly Movement, and Heavenly Thunder talismans. These were the 3 great forbidden seals, possessing such apocalyptic power that the sect banned them entirely. The Heavenly Spirit could seal a target's cultivation. The Heavenly Movement offered unparalleled escape speed, and the Heavenly Thunder packed enough destructive force to obliterate an entire mountain. Even though the price tag was astronomical, these were essential life insurance policies in critical moments. Compared to spirit stones, keeping my little life intact is way more important. Ye Chen wholeheartedly agreed, giving the fatty a solid thumbs up. You hit the nail on the head. What is the point of hoarding wealth if you are dead? Meanwhile, back at the estate, little Hua was swinging his staff with furious dedication. In just a short fort-starred amount of time, his progress was mind-blowing. It was as if the heavens had destined him for the staff. The only problem was, where could Ye Chen find a suitable martial art manual for his little bro? Finally, departure day arrived. The dynamic duo was ready to roll. Ye Chen was about to rent a spirit bird for a comfortable flight, but Xiong-er, casually munching on a massive chicken leg, stopped him. Forget that. Your big bro has something way better. Ye Chen's eyes widened. It was the legendary Heavenly Movement talisman, capable of traversing 1,000 miles in a single day. Just slap these babies on your legs, pour your true qi into them, and lock onto your destination. But be warned, if you do not aim straight, you will smash headfirst into a tree. Whoosh! The two shot off like lightning bolts toward the black market. While the top speed could not rival his new Phantom Sky Steps, it saved a massive amount of spirit energy. The journey was incredibly long. By nightfall, they were still an hour away from their destination. Suddenly, Ye Chen's survival instincts screamed. The unmistakable stench of blood filled the air. Reacting instantly, he grabbed Xiong-er's collar and violently yanked him. Backward. Boom! A devastating explosive ambush detonated exactly where they had just been standing. Explosive talismans? What kind of scum sets a death trap on the main road? To think you two actually dodged my killing formation. A towering man with a heavily scarred face stepped out from the shadows, wielding a massive, bloodthirsty broadsword. He had been lying in wait all afternoon. Hand over your storage bags, and I might just let you keep your miserable lives. Sensing his cultivation, both of them broke a cold sweat. A true Yang realm expert. But Ye Chen narrowed his eyes, analyzing the enemy calmly. His aura is incredibly oppressive, but totally unstable. He must have just broken through recently. Hearing this, 𝒍𝒅 roared like a beast. Charge! Let us crush this highway robber, bro. Swinging his terrifying, spiked mace with explosive momentum, the fatty launched himself through the air. He brought the weapon crashing down on the bandit with earth-shattering force, creating a deafening shockwave. Ye Chen instantly ignited his true fire, merging it with the ferocious beast mimicry art. Like a blazing tiger, he dashed in to follow up, unleashing a devastating combo. A brutal slap to the face, a bone-crushing elbow strike, and to top it all off, a flawless, merciless kick straight to the family jewels. The bandit's eyes nearly popped out of his skull from the sheer agony. But worthy of the true Yang realm, the scarred man somehow staggered back to his feet. Consumed by blazing wrath, he condensed all his qi into a terrifying sphere of pure destruction and charged. Our heroic duo immediately countered, synchronizing the Thunder Fist and the Dragon Tiger Fist to block the attack. But they were a fraction of a second too late. The overwhelming impact blasted them both through the air. The vile bandit threw his head back and laughed maniacally, preparing to launch the final, fatal blow. But strangely, his grand aura fizzled out with a pathetic squeak. Like a deflating balloon, he looked down in absolute horror. A heavenly spirit talisman had been slapped onto his chest, completely sealing his power. This guy is at the true Yang realm, so even with 2 talismans, we only have 1 minute of suppression. Beat him down, now. The 2 partners in crime did not waste a single millisecond. They unleashed an absolute storm of fists directly onto the evil bandit's face, mercilessly pummeling him until he was foaming at the mouth, leaving the stripped-bare robber behind, who had just been robbed blind by his intended victims. The chaotic duo swiftly evacuated the scene. Sticking around was practically asking for death. However, from behind an ancient tree, a mysterious old man stepped out from the shadows, chuckling darkly. A young man possessing the legendary true fire. How truly fascinating. Meanwhile, the 2 scoundrels set up camp to divide their newly acquired spoils. The mountain of gold, silver, and rare artifacts proved this bandit had been shedding blood for years. Suddenly, both of their eyes locked onto a single, glowing object. They lunged at each other, wrestling like wild dogs, to grab it. But plot twist, they were actually aiming for completely different items. Bursting into laughter, they high-fived the air. Heh! Good brothers for life! With their pockets full, they hit the road again, finally arriving at the legendary boundary stone of the heavenly 𝒊𝒆𝒓, Mystic Gate. Crossing this threshold meant entering the Netherwood Market. As they walked, 𝒍𝒅 whispered in awe. My father told me that the elders guarding the heavenly Mystic Gate are monstrously strong and shrouded in mystery. Rumor has it, their sect master has already reached the legendary peak, the heavenly silence realm. The moment Ye Chen stepped inside, a heavy pressure crashed down on his shoulders. His cultivation base plummeted drastically. An ancient suppression formation was layered over the area, forcibly restricting everyone. Down to the first stage of cultivation. Absolutely brilliant, Ye Chen thought. It does not matter if you are a dragon or a tiger in the outside world. In here, you bow your head. Barely 5 steps into the bustling market, Fatty's playful nature took over, and he ditched Ye Chen to go exploring on his own. Suddenly, a familiar, intoxicating fragrance drifted through the air. Ye Chen froze. It was Jining Shuang, his former lover from the Zhengyang sect. After all this time, she was just as breathtakingly beautiful as the day they parted. But the cold reality set in. She had probably erased him from her memory, and was now walking side by side with another man. Wordlessly, Ye Chen picked up a ghostly mask from a nearby stall and slipped it over his face, ensuring she would never recognize him. He just could not bear to let anyone see the heart-wrenching sorrow hidden in his eyes. In the end, even the deepest love fades into strangers passing by. After wandering the endless stalls, the reunited duo decided to find an inn to rest and recharge for tomorrow's grand auction. The moment they locked the room door, Ye Chen whipped out the mysterious cauldron looted from the bandit. Testing his luck, he let his magical gourd absorb it. Instantly, the gourd vibrated violently, before aggressively spitting the cauldron back out. Inspecting it closely, Ye Chen noticed a single drop of crimson spiritual liquid refined at the bottom. Well, bottoms up, I guess, he muttered. Clearly, this thing is not some peerless artifact. But the second the liquid hit his throat, a searing, agonizing heat exploded within him. His body temperature spiked to terrifying levels, forcing him to desperately tear off his clothes. Gasping for air, an unbearable thirst consumed him. Suddenly, violent energy rippled through his dantian. A skull-splitting headache struck him like a hammer, causing him to scream in pure agony before finally blacking out. Miraculously, he woke up the next morning, greeted by the warm rays of the sun. Checking his cultivation base, his jaw dropped. He had instantly broken through 3 entire levels, skyrocketing straight to the 8th stage. What in the world happened last night? Before he could even investigate his newfound power, Fatty burst through the door, violently dragging him out toward the market. The two skidded to a halt in front of a towering, majestic citadel, the central stage for the grand auction. The sheer aura of this place screamed absolute wealth and power. Right in the middle of their awestruck conversation, 𝒌𝒊𝒄 casually shoved his hand down his pants, furiously digging around for something, down near his lower half. Wait, what was this guy trying to pull? Ye Chen stared in sheer disbelief as 𝒌𝒊𝒄 suddenly whipped out 2 suspicious-looking eggplants. But no. According to this chubby trickster, these were actually legendary voice-changing pills. They could perfectly disguise both your appearance and your voice. Sure, they smelled absolutely horrendous, but the effects were undeniable. Yeah, no thanks. You keep those abominations. I'll stick to wearing a mask. Ye Chen deadpanned. But just as the chubby guy gulped it down, poof! Only his hair magically vanished. Everything else remained exactly the same. So much for that legendary disguise. Ye Chen wiped his sweat, glad he dodged that scam. Just as the duo finally took their seats, an enigmatic elder suddenly approached and sat right beside them. It was the exact same shadowy figure who had secretly watched their bloody battle against the forest bandits. Ye Chen had absolutely no idea that this old man had already seen right through his secrets. All he could feel was the overwhelmingly terrifying aura rolling off the elder's body. Even though his cultivation base was completely suppressed, the Qi family of Nanyang has arrived. The grand doors swung wide open, respectfully welcoming an imposing group of martial artists. Following right behind them were the mighty Situ clan of Shishu and the prestigious Wang family of Beichuan. Every major powerhouse from across the continent was gathering in one place. While Ye Chen stared at the legendary figures in absolute shock, 𝒌𝒊𝒄 completely ignored the majestic atmosphere. He was too busy stuffing his face with protein, physically preparing his body for the blood-boiling auction ahead. The heavy doors echoed again as the inner sect peak master of the Hengye sect stepped in, the formidable Wu Hen. Even though they belonged to the very same sect, this was Ye Chen's first time laying eyes on such a legendary figure. But the biggest shock was the arrival of the Zhengyang sect. Elder Wu Changqing had actually come. Rage flared in Ye Chen's eyes. That was the exact same bastard who heartlessly kicked him out of the sect. To think their paths would cross again so soon. Even the arrogant Qingyun sect had sent their elites. Talk about enemies on a narrow road. His blood boiled at the sight of Lu Ji, the very scum who had ruthlessly shattered his dantian. This blood debt would definitely be paid in full. The auspicious hour has arrived. A majestic voice echoed out. It was Pavilion Elder Yang of the Heavenly, Profound Sect. He authoritatively laid out the rules and declared the bloody battlefield of wealth open. First up is the Purple Yang Sword. Starting bid, 50,000 silver taels. With a dramatic sweep of his hand, the elder wrapped the blade in blazing spiritual aura, hoisting it high for the greedy crowd to gaze upon in pure awe. Instantly, the hall exploded into a chaotic war of bidding. The atmosphere was absolutely electric. 𝒌𝒊𝒄 leaned in with a sly smirk. Watch and learn, rookie. They always throw out top-tier bait first to make the crowd's blood boil. Only after everyone is hyped do they bring out the cheap trash. We just need to wait. 100,000. An arrogant shout from the Zhengyang sect booth dropped like a bomb, instantly suffocating the entire auction house into dead silence. Bam! The divine sword was officially secured by the Zhengyang sect. The old elder let out a sickeningly arrogant laugh that echoed through the room. Next item, the Yang Copper Furnace. Starting bid, 30,000. After a bloodthirsty war of numbers, the treasure fell into the deep pockets of the Qingyun sect. Next, the 7-colored exquisite pagoda. Starting bid, 80,000 taels. Such a heaven-defying artifact going for so cheap. Seizing the ultimate opportunity, an eager elder immediately roared, 300,000. But before the echo even faded, a bone-chilling voice sliced through the hall like a death scythe. Which brainless fool dares to court death? The murderous intent radiated straight from the bloodthirsty palace. The terrifying threat left the poor elder trembling like a leaf in a hurricane, not daring to utter a single breath. With pure intimidation, the evil sect flawlessly snatched the divine pagoda. Was the grand event finally over? Not a chance. Behold, a mysterious iron cudgel. Starting bid, 10,000 taels. In that exact fraction of a second, the true fire within Ye Chen's soul violently flared up. His eyes widened. This seemingly rusty trash was actually a heaven-shaking treasure. Ignoring the crowd's mocking laughter at the ugly scrap metal, Ye Chen instantly threw himself into the battlefield. 10,000 tiles! Are you out of your damn mind? 𝒐𝒓𝒅 almost choked on his own spit, practically exploding with rage. You're burning 10,000 silvers on a rusty piece of garbage? But Ye Chen just smirked with absolute confidence. Relax. This is a legendary steel. Just as he thought the prize was safely in his grasp. 11,000. The arrogant elder of the Zhengyang sect deliberately stepped in to crush him. The iron cudgel belongs to my Zhengyang sect. 12,000. Ye Chen fired back without a single ounce of fear. The elder's face twisted into a demonic scowl, unleashing a wave of threatening killing intent. But Ye Chen refused to back down an inch. The hall watched in absolute terror as the bidding war escalated into a bloodbath. No one had ever dared to openly snatch prey from the tyrannical Zhengyang sect like this mysterious youth. The price completely shattered the 100,000 mark. 𝒐𝒓𝒅 was hyperventilating, his mind spiraling into total madness. 110,000? You filthy little brat, let's see you top that. The elder mocked with lethal venom. 120,000! Ye Chen roared back, not hesitating for a single heartbeat. The furious elder practically shattered his own teacup. 210,000. If you have the guts, keep bidding, you worthless ant. 𝒐𝒓𝒅 grabbed Ye Chen's shoulder. The young cultivator was dead silent, clearly completely drained of funds. Bro, do you really need this cursed rusty stick that badly? Listen to me. I only have 300,000 on me. Take it, but you better pay me back with interest. Genuine emotion sparked in Ye Chen's eyes, but the chubby guy brutally slapped his back. Stop looking so damn dramatic. We'll just go rob some more bandits next time. Swallowing his immense gratitude, Ye Chen turned back to the battlefield and unleashed a heaven-shaking roar. 300,000. The entire auction house erupted into sheer pandemonium. Pushed past his breaking point, Elder Wu erupted with a terrifying burst of explosive qi. But in a mere fraction of a second, his aura was violently snuffed out. Release your killing intent one more time in my domain, and I will completely erase you. The absolute supreme aura of the auction master descended like a mountain, effortlessly crushing the arrogant elder into total submission. I bid 310,000, the elder gritted out, his voice pathetically trembling. But before he could even blink, Ye Chen delivered the final devastating blow. 500,000. It was the most astronomical price of the entire night. Crash! The humiliated Zhengyang elder violently obliterated his own chair. He shot to his feet, panting like a rabid dog, but completely powerless to utter a single word of defiance. The legendary artifact was finally secured. The two brothers triumphantly bumped fists. Ye Chen stared at the mysterious weapon. 500,000 silvers. You better hold some heaven-defying secrets, buddy. As the grand auction officially drew to a close, the bitter enemies clashed right at the main gates. Stripped of his power to attack inside, Elder Wu could only spit venomous death threats. Oh, I'm absolutely terrified, Ye Chen smirked with lethal confidence. I'll be waiting for you, old dog. Stepping into the VIP vault, Pavilion Elder Yang personally delivered the heavy iron cudgel straight into Ye Chen's hands. The elder gave an approving nod at the youth's ironclad resolve. Someone of great importance wishes to meet you, young friend. Please, follow me. He guided Ye Chen deep into a hidden courtyard overflowing with divine herbs and spiritual lotuses. Who could have imagined that beneath the chaotic black market existed a paradise flowing with such pure energy? Stepping into the grand pavilion of the hidden dragon hall, Ye Chen immediately spotted a solitary silhouette waiting in the shadows. As he closed the distance, his eyes widened in sudden realization. It was the very same enigmatic elder from the profound sect who had shared their table earlier. The moment their eyes met, the supreme expert desperately bowed and begged for Ye Chen's assistance. Whoa, I haven't even taken a seat yet, Ye Chen complained. I just screamed my lungs out, spending 500,000 silvers. And you won't even pour me a cup of tea? Cutting straight through the pleasantries, the elder revealed his true objective. He needed Ye Chen's legendary true fire to purge a lethal wound. A flash of shock crossed the young warrior's face. But considering the sheer madness of today's events, Ye Chen simply shrugged off the revelation. Way too many hidden dragons were stepping out of the shadows lately. Taking a bold stance, the youth laid down his terms. I'm a simple man. You want my flames? You gotta pay the price. Considering the elder was a supreme master with deep pockets, Ye Chen bluntly demanded cold hard cash. Wham! A massive heavy pouch of spiritual silver violently slammed into his chest. Thank you for your generous patronage, senior. Let's get to work. The elder forcefully ripped back his grand sleeve. Ye Chen instinctively jumped back, thinking the old man was covered in underworld gang tattoos. But the elder's face turned deadly serious. This is the legendary ancient voodoo curse. The air grew suffocatingly cold as he revealed the sinister truth. It is an exceptionally demonic seal. If I do not purge this darkness immediately, it will completely devour my soul. The cultivator who had inflicted this nightmare was a supreme master of the shaman tribe. A terrifyingly mysterious ancient bloodline, notoriously hailed as one of the 9 great sovereign races of the primordial era. Realizing he was dealing with an absolute titan of the martial world, Ye Chen slyly seized the opportunity to dig for answers regarding the true nature of his own mysterious flames. The elder's eyes burned with absolute reverence. I have witnessed countless variations of true fire in my long life, but yours radiates a supreme golden brilliance. It is undeniably the absolute pinnacle of flames. Yet, its devastating potential remains heavily restricted, simply because your cultivation realm is entirely too pathetic. A mere chi condensation realm ant can only wield a fraction of its divine power. Furthermore, I can see that the absolute core of this true fire hasn't even fully awakened yet. Struck by wave after wave of heaven-shaking revelations, Ye Chen finally realized his potential was completely heaven-defying. The two masters crossed their legs, rapidly weaving intricate hand seals to shatter the demonic voodoo. The elder carefully directed the spiritual flow. These sinister curse runes are all fundamentally linked together. Focus your golden flames and forcefully incinerate just one of the core nodes. Suddenly, the Supreme Elder violently gasped. Hidden deep within the blinding golden fire, an ominous streak of pure pitch-black energy coiled like a viper. That is the primordial demon bloodline. The elder stared in awe. It seems this arrogant brat has absolutely no idea he possesses the blood of the ancient demonic sovereign race. How utterly fascinating. With a deafening roar, the demonic runes chained to the elder's flesh violently erupted. Yet, they stubbornly attempted to latch back onto his spiritual veins. Knowing this was the ultimate do-or-die moment, the elder explosively channeled every ounce of his supreme chi into his 2 fingertips. He desperately tried to forcefully rip the sinister curse from his body, but the resistance was overwhelmingly heavy, like trying to physically shove a collapsing mountain. Following an agonizing battle of spiritual willpower, the demonic voodoo seal was finally ripped from his soul. The violent extraction tore a blood-curdling scream from the Supreme Master's lungs. Gritting his teeth through the agonizing pain, he ruthlessly blasted the corrupt energy away, watching it disintegrate into absolute nothingness. A surge of overwhelming euphoria washed over him as he successfully defied death itself. He bowed to the young warrior with absolute, profound gratitude. I owe you my life, young friend. Thank you. The moment Ye Chen stepped out of the hidden courtyard, he greedily ripped open the heavy pouch. His jaw instantly dropped straight to the floor. Inside sat exactly 50. Consider that 10,000 exactly the price. A token of my gratitude. With that settled, Ye Chen strolled past a spirit stone merchant. Suddenly, a familiar aura caught his attention. The unmistakable essence of profound black iron and mystic black. Steel. Exactly the crafting materials his current level desperately needed. Just as he prepared to negotiate, the crusty old shopkeeper suddenly vanished toward the entrance. Turns out, this shameless geezer had locked onto a group of stunning beauties. He was practically drooling over them. Talk about a degenerate elder with zero restraint. It was only when Ye Chen threatened to take his gold elsewhere that the old pervert snapped out of his trance. He suddenly put on a mask of absolute professionalism. Clearing his throat, the merchant spun a wild tale about how incredibly rare and priceless these divine metals were. His opening demand? a staggering 100,000 coins. But having survived the ruthless streets since childhood, Ye Chen was a master of the haggling arts. Without missing a beat, he ruthlessly slashed the price in half. The old merchant feigned utter outrage, yet he accepted the counteroffer a little too quickly. Ye Chen narrowed his eyes. Did he still overpay? But just as he hesitated, a terrifying surge of murderous aura erupted from the street. Another elderly cultivator charged forward, roaring with pure fury. "Chu Ji Wu, you absolute scoundrel! I will slice you into 1,000 pieces!" Clearly, the degenerate shopkeeper had been caught messing with the wrong woman. The two chaotic elders burst into a frantic chase across the entire marketplace. They completely abandoned the storefront, leaving Ye Chen to reap the ultimate fisherman's reward, scoring 2 ultra-rare spirit medals for absolutely nothing. Ye Chen casually pocketed the legendary loot, his face flashing a perfectly smug and utterly shameless grin.